Hello and welcome to episode 43 of the She.Must.Knit podcast. My name is Erin and thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. I hope you guys had a great week, and if you live anywhere where the temperatures are similar to what they are here, I hope you had a really nice and warm and cozy week, because oh my goodness, the temperatures were so cold this past week. Last weekend the temperatures dropped down to, I think, almost minus 40 with the wind chill. It was bonkers. Monday there was school, but the buses were canceled, and usually when the buses are canceled I just don't send her in. So yeah, Avery was home with me on Monday as well. We had a long weekend. I did get a lot of knitting done, so I'm really happy with the progress I've made on a lot of my projects, and I can't wait to share them with you. So what do we have today? I have a finished object for you. I have work in progress on some of the projects you've seen. I have a new cast on that I totally wasn't planning, but I could not resist, and you will see why. I'm going to give you some updates on the spinning project that I've been working on, and what else? Oh, I have the collection for this week. I have the vote for the next collection. I also have some news on a very special KAL that will be starting soon, hosted by one of my favorite designers. And so yeah, I wanted to give you some information on that. So that will be later on. So let's start with a quick sip of my coffee. I have my giant holiday mug again. I just love the size of this mug. And then the flavor I'm drinking today is another Bones coffee, and it is this one here, the white chocolate peppermint bark, I think. Yeah, white chocolate peppermint bark. It's one of their holiday flavors, and it is quite delicious. I absolutely cannot wait until I can get through the flavors that I currently have, so I can order a few more. They have so many on their site right now that I'm absolutely intrigued by. There's one called, I think, Magical Unicorn or something, that's supposed to taste like Fruit Loops. I don't know, but it just, that one intrigues me, but I'm gonna be good. I'm getting through my current stash first, but I cannot wait for the day that I can try some new flavors. So what are we going to start with? I think we are going to start with my finished object that I am so excited about. I love how it turned out. It's the first completed square on my Crafty bingo card. It's not even the end of January, and I feel like I'm making some very good progress on my goals. So to remind you, this is what I was working on. You saw the progress last week. It is the Playtime Henley, and it is in the book 60 Quick Knits for Kids. I am really enjoying this book. I am going to have to go through and pick out, I think, a few more patterns that I want to try. They're very simple, but a lot of them have just some really unique elements to them that just make them stand out a little bit. I'm already planning to do another Icelandic pullover. That's the one, if you remember, on the front that I did. I want to make one for Avery, again with the rainbow sleeves. But for now, yeah, I used the Playtime Henley pattern as a basis for my hand-spun rainbow dash sweater. So last year, I bought this fiber at a show, and I wanted to spin the yarn and then make Avery a sweater inspired by the colors of Rainbow Dash, which is a My Little Pony character. She really likes My Little Ponies, and she likes Rainbow Dash, and I don't blame her. She's kind of feisty, and I like her too. So yeah, this is the finished sweater. Now, it is quite a bit different in some ways to the pattern in the book, but the changes that I made, I think, were very minor. First of all, the sizing is a little bit different. So most of the patterns in that book go up to about a size 6. I think that's the max. Size 4 or 6 is the highest that they go up to. And for this pattern, the original was written for a worsted weight yarn, and my hand spun was just a little bit thicker. So I followed the size 4 numbers with a size bigger needle. So I used 5mm needles, and I followed the size 4 because I knew my yarn was a little bit thicker. The other thing that I did differently was written in the pattern, they had this design where the back of the sweater was in reverse stocking knit, and then that kind of came across the front in kind of a V shape. So you would start seeing the purl stitches along the sides here. I didn't want that. I just wanted a very plain sweater, so I did the entire body in just stockinette, but I did do the reverse stockinette on the sleeves. The sleeves are shorter than written in the pattern, But that's just personal preference because Avery likes to get into lots of things and do lots of crafts and get messy, and I just like the idea that when she's doing that, her garments, the edges of the sleeves of the garments she's wearing do not get dunked in the gunk. So the sleeves are a little bit shorter, and oh, and the other thing I did was the hem. I think I mentioned this last week that I wanted to do a more kind of casual hem. I didn't want to do ribbing, and so I did. I did a little bit of short row shaping on the back there. You can kind of see that the back edge dips a little bit lower than the front edge, and then I ended it off with a Icord bind off. I have linked in my project page on Ravelry the video on YouTube that I used for the Icord bind off. I have done it before, but it's just one of those things where when you don't do it all the time, you just kind of need a jump start to get going. So I found a video that was very short, very concise, got to the point. I just needed to watch like a minute of it, and I was like, okay, got it, ready to go. And I did that. And I really like how that looked. The only other thing that I've had to do with this is, if you see the inside of the neckband here, I did a crochet chain along the bottom of the ribbing. I found when she was trying this on that the neck was very loose, like it was stretching over her shoulders. I think it's because my hand spun, it doesn't have, it's just merino, and it doesn't have the same structure as a yarn that has like nylon and stuff blended in. So I find it's it's almost like how an alpaca yarn gets kind of stretched out of shape very easily. This isn't alpaca, but it has the same kind of feel. It's very, it's kind of drapey, and it has that same kind of stretch to it. So I wanted to see if I could just kind of cinch the neck in, and so I went along and I just kind of picked up through the knitting, and I did a crochet chain, and that has helped a little bit. However, when I was getting the pictures of her wearing it, I found that the neck was still a little bigger than I wanted, so I might just go along the top of the ribbing here as well and do another kind of crochet chain just to kind of try and really keep this neckline the size that I want. Like, I don't want it stretching out like this when she's wearing it. I really want it to stay like this. But otherwise, this was a really, really easy knit. I really enjoyed using my hand spun. I have just a tiny little bit of it left, so it was the perfect amount where I had enough to do the garment the way that I wanted to do it, but I wasn't like sweating buckets at the end thinking I was going to run out of yarn. So I'm quite happy with that. There might be enough there that maybe she can knit a little something now that she's starting to make some projects. Yeah, so I'm really happy that I have a little bit left. I think that's all I have to say about that. These buttons I found in my button stash. I have a nice little drawer of buttons, including both ones that I have purchased over the years, and then often in swaps I get sent buttons. I have a feeling that someone sent me these. I don't remember buying them, but I thought they complemented this project really well. They kind of got that light blue in it, and then that darker kind of purpley blue kind of pulls out this stripe here. So I think that the buttons suit this really, really well. And yeah, I am very pleased. I've got, like I said, that's the first square on my bingo card done. I think it looks really cute on her. I will put in a picture of her wearing it here. You can kind of see how it's just a really nice, loose, kind of like a big oversized sweatshirt style fit on her, which I like. I think it looks really cute. So I look forward to her being able to wear that. And yeah, I've cast on something else for her, but we will get to that in a minute. The next thing I'm going to share with you is the progress that I have made on my very, 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 very old UFO, unfinished object, whip, whatever you want to call it, that I started back in 2013 for one of my brothers. I showed that I had brought it out last week, and I have continued to work on it. So last week I showed you the body of the sweater. This pattern is from Knitty, and it is knit bottom up, where you do the body of the sweater and then you do the sleeves separately, and then you join them at the underarms and then do the yoke. So the body was done. I haven't done anything to that. I have mentioned that I might want to add a little bit of length to it, but I haven't done that yet. And then last week I showed you that I had made really, really good progress on the first sleeve. The sleeves are what held me up from this project way, 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 way back when, because they the sleeves are done in the round. And I normally don't mind doing sleeves in the round, but I absolutely detest doing stripes sleeves in the round. So obviously the body was stripes in the round, but I think it's just because of the bigger circumference, it doesn't bother me as much, whereas striped sleeves in the round, I've just learned I really don't like. So I had done like maybe this much on the first sleeve, and then it got put aside and I didn't touch it. Once I started doing them flat, these have just zipped by. So I have finished the first sleeve. I was probably like maybe here last week. I have finished the first sleeve, and I have finished the second sleeve. So I have both sleeves done now. I am ready to, I haven't decided yet if I'm going to seam them first and then attach them to the body, or if I'm going to seam them after, because the joining process on a bottom-up sweater like that, that first couple of rows after you get the sleeves kind of attached can be a real pain in the butt. And I've learned that one of the things that makes it easier is using multiple needles. So I will keep these sleeves on these needles while I'm working the joining rounds, because it just makes it easier to maneuver all these stitches, because you're going to end up having it like, it's going to be like this, and you're going to have the body attached here and it's going around there, and it's this big jumble. And I found it easier to have the sleeves on separate needles, the body on separate needles, and then just work with a fourth needle. But I might just leave them open and see if that helps it from being so tight, like when you're working with it. After you get about 5 or 6 rows done, it kind of gets easier, but those first couple of rows are really kind of a pain. So we're going to see, I have to see how they are joined. Sometimes you have to have live stitches in the underarm that you're going to graft later. So I'll have to see if that's something I can still do if I don't seam them, or if I'm going to have to seam them in order to do the next step properly. So that I don't know. The only thing I'm going to mention about the sleeves here is that when I do sleeves on any garment, I tend to just do my own sleeve shaping, and this one was no different. I like to use the little light bulb markers, and I'll put one in. Mr. T has joined us, and we're going to see if he behaves, because, okay, I'm going to let you guys know. It took me a good 20 minutes to get started on this episode, because he kept coming up on the table and just being a little rascal. He kept grabbing the yarn from some of my projects, or sitting on something that I was going to have to show, or like he was just making a pain out of himself. So then he went away, so I was able to start, but now he's back, and we'll see if he lets me continue in proper form here. He has situated himself on the Rainbow Dash sweater right now, and if he stays there, we should be all good. So I was talking about the sleeves. I tend to do my own sleeve shaping. I like to use the light bulb markers to just put in every time I do an increase. So I have one marker, but that means that I've done it on both sides. So I've done an increase on both sides. And I just put one in every time I do a marker. And then in this case, I also started adding some additional increases here. I find that a lot of sleeves, they either increase, like if you're doing it top down, they either increase or decrease too rapidly, or if you're doing bottom up, they increase too rapidly, and you get these really weird, like very wide sleeves, which I don't particularly like. And this pattern, I think the increases were like every 6 rows. So starting down here at the cuff, like every 6 rows there was an increase, and I just didn't want it to be that drastic. So I spaced them out a little bit more. I think I did. I did them to go along with the stripes so that I could easily visibly see what I would be doing an increase instead of counting rows. And then right about here, I started adding an extra increase. So on these rows, I was doing 3 increases just to make up some of those extra stitches that I needed to get up to the amount of stitches that I needed by the top of the sleeve. So I currently have the proper amount of sleeve stitches, and I have the proper length, and the width should be okay, because I've mentioned before that my brothers are all kind of little string beans, so I don't anticipate their arms needing any extra room, so I think these will work well. So I've got the 2 sleeves done, and now I'm just at the part where I will be joining them to the body. And I don't think I would love to have this sweater done by the end of the month. That would be really, really, really cool. I don't think it's going to take that long, but I have a bunch of other stuff that I am working on as well. So I will just have to see how that goes. I will just quickly recap the yarn that I'm using. This is old yarn. Obviously this project is very old. And so the green here is this heather green from Galway. And I am using the Barocco Ultra Alpaca for the brown, and this is the color that the yoke will be in. So I think over this weekend I am going to try and get the yoke, like get the sleeves attached to the body and just get that process started. And then when I have a nice block of time, maybe in the evenings, hopefully I can kind of whip through that. That would be really nice. I would love to finish that by the end of the month. So before I get on to the next thing I'm going to show you, I think I'm just going to give you a quick update on, so the socks. The socks that I showed you last week, I have worked on this week, but they don't look much different because they're socks, and so I wasn't going to show them. I am almost at the heel of the second sock of my Desert Vista Dye Works pair. I'm not worried about finishing those by the end of the month. I'm hoping to get the heel done maybe later today so that over the weekend I can just work on the leg. I know I can get the leg and cuff done in one day if I have the time, so to have it done by next week I'm not very concerned. And then I also did put a little bit of work into my husband's sock, but again, that's not a priority to finish by the end of the month. It would be awesome. Not a priority, so we'll just see how that goes. So the next project that I have is a new cast on. I think I mentioned in the beginning that I was not planning on casting this on. After I finished Avery's Rainbow Dash sweater, I was actually planning on casting on a garment for myself. I have about 6 balls of these huge skeins of Lion Brand Thick and Quick, I think, that I bought 2 years ago in this really, really pretty color. And my original intention was to make a jacket with it, and I was like, at this point I realized I'm probably not going to wear a knitted jacket. But I did put a goal on my bingo card to make something with that yarn this year. It is taking up a whole bin on one of my shelves, and so if I were to make something with it, it would just free up a lot of space in where I store my stash. So after I finished Avery's sweater, I was like, okay, great, I am going to cast on that Lion Brand sweater. I think I found a pattern for kind of a tunic style sweater with some cables that I think will work really well with some of my wardrobe pieces, and so I was all set to cast that on. And then, of course, one of my favorite kid designers, Stephanie Lotvin, she ear-burned me for a test that she's doing in her group for a child sweater, and I don't do a lot of tests, but I still am on the list for a few designers that I really, really like, and I will go check out, every time I'm ear-burned, I will go check out what it is, but unless it's something that just grabs me, I try and not do all the tests like I used to, just so I have time to do the projects that I want to do. Well, I went to check out this test, and I saw the picture, and I was like, done, sign me up. Where do I put my name down? What size do you need me to do? Because it has to happen. It has to happen. I will put a picture of what the adult garment looks like here. Again, this pattern is in the testing phase, so she doesn't have all the pictures for all the different variations and the sizes and stuff like this. But this is the adult size. It is called the Narwhal pullover, and come on, it's a narwhal. And so I was perfectly content. I was going to sign up for it. It's a narwhal. Avery, I knew Avery would think it was super, super cute. And then when I read the pattern description, I found out that there was a second chart variation for a catacorn. If you are not familiar with the mythical beast of the catacorn, it is basically a cat with a unicorn horn. And yeah, I was like, oh my goodness, catacorn, it's gotta happen. Sign me up, Avery catacorn sweater now. Okay, so I put my name down for it. And then I had to go around and try and find some yarn because we talked about this last week, stash, trying to use what we have, trying not to buy if I don't need it. Technically, I can buy yarn this year, but I'm really trying not to. And so I did find something that I think will work, and so I've cast it on. So I have this skein here, and this is a skein of, it's a Miss Babs Wowza skein. So it's a light worsted yarn. It's like 560 yards or something like that. It's a big skein. And the reason why at first I wasn't sure. I was going back and forth between a lot of yarns because I think for the size that I'm going to be doing like a hybrid of the size 4 and the size 6. Avery just turned 7, but she is a little peanut, and when I did her chest measurement, it was in line with the size 4, even with the ease built in and everything, but her length, a lot of her length is, it's on par with the size 6. So I'm going to be doing some of the numbers for the size 6 and some of the numbers for the size 4, depending on where and how I want things to fit. So I'm going to be kind of doing a combo. And the size 6, I think, or even the size 4, I think the size 6 needed a little bit more. It was about 100 yards more than what's in this. So I was pulling out some other yarn and saying, okay, well, maybe I can do the sleeves in a different color if I need to. You know, I was very tempted to go. I was like, well, you know what? I'll go buy some Vanna's Choice or something like that. It's 3 skeins. It's fine, but it's not using my stash, and it's taking, like, I don't need to buy yarn. And when I was talking last week about stash and trying not to buy things and just the household, like trying to minimize things in the household, I didn't mention, but I've given myself a very, 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 very tiny monthly budget for things that don't fall into the necessity or replacement category. So if I choose to buy something that I don't necessarily need, it's got to come out of this very, very, very tiny budget. And yeah, I don't want to use that to buy yarn when I have yarn. So we're going to try and make this work. And I think I can either use another yarn for the sleeves, or because I often make the sleeves shorter anyway, I might be fine. So this might be enough to make the sweater as is and then just have shorter sleeves. The other yarn that I found that I think will work is this one here. It's the Cascade 220 Superwash. It's the same yarn that I used for the unicorn right there. I do have a full ball, and this will be for the catacorn head, and then on the back of the sweater there's like a little tail. So I think this will be enough for that. And then I am just going to be going through my scrap bins and looking for yarn for the kind of striped rainbow horn. I am so excited about this. So this is how much I've got done. I was able to cast on and get the ribbing done. It is done in pieces. So it's done, the front and the back are done in pieces back and forth, and then you join those and then pick up for the sleeves and work down, because the catacorn and the catacorn tail are all done in intarsia. I have not done, I'll have to look on my project page to see when the last time I've done intarsia was. I have done it, but it might have been, it might be years since I've done it. It should be fine. I'm not too worried about doing the intarsia, but this is how much I've got done so far. I think the chart starts fairly like quickly, so I might be at the part now, like once I start the body, that I'll be getting into the chart. So next week I should have some catacorn to show you. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to working on this project. Avery has some leggings that have cats on them. She actually has a few pair that have cats on them. One of them is Cats in Space, and I just think it's going to be really, really cute outfit. I'll probably try and pull some of those colors that she wears often into the horn of the catacorn. But it's just going to be such a fun project. And then once this is done, I swear I'm going to start my Lion Brand sweater and just get that out. So that, because that's a square on my card, and then also this one still works towards my card because I do have a square that is knit 6, it's either 6 or 10. It's one of those 6 or 10 children's items. So this will still work for that. So it's still going towards working towards my bingo card. So that is what I've been working on this week. Before I get to the collection and the vote for the next collection, and then also the information on the KAL I mentioned earlier, I'm going to give you a quick update on some spinning that I've been doing. So I mentioned, I think two weeks ago, that I received some Rolegs from Vanessa, who is the host of the A Historian Knits podcast. She received these from a friend. She does not spin. I offered to spin them for her, and I finally got them on my wheel, and I've made some progress. So the little tiny Rolegs that she gave me, I was able to spin. Now these are not finished yarns, I just have them into the cakes, and then I am going to be two-plying from these cakes. So these are from the little Rolegs that she received from her friend. And then I had some yarn. I also had some row legs that I had made on my blending board, and because that wasn't going to be a whole lot for a whole project, I was going to also make some yarn from some of my own row legs so that she would have enough for a project. So this is another little cake that I made from one of the row legs that I had of my own, and I think this is going to look really, really pretty. And then I'm currently working on what will be the largest amount of yarn, and it's from some row legs that I made on my blending board, but it is these colors here. So I think this is really, really pretty. It's going very, very well. So here you go, Vanessa, here's your progress. And yeah, I can't wait to get that done. Once I finish spinning these last amount, then I will, because I have to change the settings on my wheels for it to be plied, then I will change those settings and I will ply everything at once. And then yeah, it's just a matter of soaking it and kind of letting it dry out and then sending it off, sending it back. So that is very exciting. So the final thing I want to talk about before getting to the collection is an upcoming KAL that is going to be starting on February 1st. And this is going to be run by one of my favorite designers, Lisa Ross, Paper Daisy Creations. She contacted me a while ago asking if I wanted to be a sponsor and provide a prize for this, and I just think it sounds like a really, really cool KAL, and yeah, I wanted to tell you about it so that if you wanted to participate, you could go over and check out all the information, and yeah, and have some fun with it. So it is going to be the Lots of Socks KAL. I'm just going to read you the little paragraph that she has in the group to give you some more information. She says, "Do you know about the Lots of Socks initiative? Those with Down syndrome have a third copy of chromosome 21, and so on March 21st, the world celebrates World Down Syndrome Day. The idea behind Lots of Socks is that everyone wears 2 different colored socks to highlight the uniqueness of these individuals and to show their support for the Down syndrome community. This KAL was designed to create lots of socks that will also generate support and awareness for a great cause." So the basis behind this KAL is that there's going to be a period between February 1st and February 15th where a whole bunch of designs from participating designers are going to be on sale 50% off. So every day from the 1st to the 15th, there's going to be a design from one of the participating designers that are 50% off, and then all the sales from that design on that day will be going to support the Down Syndrome International charity. And so there's tons and tons of prizes. There's tons of people who have provided prizes for this. All you have to do is make one sock from one of these designers to qualify. There's lots of opportunities for bonus entries, so if you use yarn from a sponsor, you can get bonus entries as well. It's worth checking out. I'm going to put the link to the thread with all the information in the description box below, so that if you want to go check it out, you can. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a really, really fun KAL, and of course it's going to a really great cause. So I encourage you to go check that out and see if you want to participate. And of course, if you have any of my yarn, because I am sponsoring a prize, then those socks would get an extra entry as well. Lisa has come up with a new design especially for this KAL, and I will pop in a picture of that here, and that will be available on February 1st as well. So yeah, go check that out. So the last thing I have to show you today is the collection from the last boat. If you remember, the 2 fabrics were a spiral kind of style, and then also some stylized tigers and a floral. And the spirals won, so that's what I did a collection with. I did not receive my yarn order in time to do yarn for this collection, but I will have yarn for the next collection, and I picked out some fun fabrics. So I think the yarn that I'm planning on doing is going to be a fun one. So for these spirals, I was able to get one sidekick size. This one is great for accessories like shawls, like larger accessories, children's garments, and also the start of sweaters. So like when you're just starting a sweater and it's not getting huge, you can still fit a fair bit of it in the sidekick size. That's one of my favorite sizes. I was also able to do one of my just regular pouches. These ones are great for kind of shoving into larger bags when you're out and about. There's also a handle that will fit on your wrist if you are one of those who like to walk and knit. And then I had a little bit left, so I did one of my Notion pouches. I'm trying to get more of these in the shop, especially coming up to show season. I want to have more notion pouches for my display. So that's what I was able to get for this week's collection. And then I have the vote for you. So last time I shared that one of the things that I really want to have more of for my upcoming shows is the deluxe sock sets with the 50 gram, the 220 grams, and then a coordinating clay progress keeper. And I really kind of want to focus on like character themes, like TV shows, things that are going to be fun to make the little progress keepers with. So for this week, I found 2 fabrics in my collection that have characters on them. So the first one is this one here from Monsters Inc. And how cute would it be to do like a little Sully or a little Mike progress keeper? So that's your first choice. And then the second choice is this fabric here, and I don't think I need to explain. I love beakers, so I have a whole bunch of this beaker fabric. And again, how cute would a little beaker progress keeper be? So these are your 2 fabric choices for the next vote, Beaker or Monsters Inc. So let me know in the comments below. Again, any comment on any of my videos enters you towards a draw that I do at the end of the month for a coupon to my shop. Also, any purchase in my shop gets you entries as well. And then I wanted to remind you, next week is going to be a question and chat episode. And so if you guys have any questions that you would like me to answer, or any kind of topics of discussion that you would be interested in me talking about, you can let me know that below as well, so that I can figure out what we're going to talk about. So that is all that I have for you this week. I hope you have a wonderful week, and if you are in a similar climate to myself, I hope you stay warm. The temperature just seems to be going up and down. We'll get one day, I think we got one day this past week that was like above or around 0, and it was like, oh, balmy, let's, you know, go outside with our shorts and t-shirts. And now we're back to like negative 17 with the wind chill. So I hope you guys stay warm. I hope you guys get lots of crafting done this weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.